I was at a really exciting project about 3 weeks ago in Albany in New York called the Second Chance Opportunities, which is a recovery housing organisation. And they have 88 beds or units available for people. But they also have a social enterprise, which is a janitorial service. And what they do is basically the idea is in your first year of recovery, you have to get a job. Get off your arse and get a job. But the idea is you don't socialise with other people who are not in recovery. So you work in office buildings only. In New York, there's wonderful preferred grant status, so it's very hard for non-charities to apply to do that kind of government office cleaning because there's preferential options for places like Second Chance, which is brilliant, and we could do with here. And it's, the reason I'm mentioning this is, apart from the fact I love the idea of you link up housing and jobs, and we've made such an appalling mess of the recovery housing parts of things in the UK.
Yeah.
But it's the logic, which I think is fascinating, which is, look, for that first year, nobody's going to want to be a janitor forever. Well, maybe a few people are if they've got big outside interest. Nothing wrong with that. Go for it. But the idea is, I don't care if you arrived at Second Chance Opportunities as a lawyer, a doctor, an airline pilot, whatever, you're still going to clean a fucking office for a year. And the idea is it's a stage process because you need to get yourself sorted out. And it's a long-term journey. And then, and the idea, they have a model which is up on their wall, which is job, career, vocation. You need a recovery job at the start, a job which isn't going to cause you stress and isn't going to lead you to temptation, and it's going to allow you the time and space to develop those basic qualities. And I love that idea. And it seems to me, I think you mentioned recovery-oriented systems of care at the start. And for me, one of the things in my head that I still struggle with is, what would an optimal model look like of the process of transferring from specialist acute clinical treatment services to recovery services? Or perhaps, as William White would have argued, it's the other way around. Recovery precedes treatment. So the question then is, you go to recovery services first, and then when do you then engage subsequently with specialist acute treatment services? And, for me, I think that remains a poorly articulated and poorly evidenced question.
And of course, you're talking about what I would call a classic peer sandwich. You want peers in all over the harm reduction community, keeping you alive, engaging you, bringing you in. There is a moment when, for all of the peculiarities, probably correctly so, there is only someone with a particular specialist ticket that can give you a piece of medication and/or get you inside a hospital setting, all that stuff. No problem. But then you want the peer the other side. So,
and it's like, I think it's, for me, it's
maybe a bit reductionist on William White calling it a peer sandwich, but
it's not even like a sandwich, because even the filling has to have bread in it, because you want them involved. It feels to me like you want some kind of peer inspirational guide mentor before you go anywhere near a clinical service. You want somebody to hold your hand while you're dealing with all that nasty doctor business. And then you want them. And look, one of the most exciting places I have been to in the last few years is Chesterfield County Jail in Virginia, where they have a TC in the jail. And it's one of there's the guy who's the sheriff. He looks like Boss Hogg from Dukes of Hazzard. He walks about with enormous guns in his pockets. So he's very much your kind of southern. But in his jail, he breaks Virginia's state laws because he runs an entirely democratic TC. So none of the staff decide who's allowed into the TC or when people get chucked out. That's all peer-based decision-making. What's more, instead of people, as we do moronically here, instead of when people finish the drug program in the prison, they then go back to the wings. You then, if you can graduate from the TC in Chesterfield County Jail, you graduate into one of 3 recovery houses in the community in Richmond, in Virginia. And you go back, the recovery house, which will continue to do your drug testing and all that kind of thing, buses you back into the jail 1 day a week to continue the TC program. So you're out, you're released, but you go back in once a week. So you carry the message, you tell people what it's like in the outside, you make them realise. And, you know, you kind of think, why are we so rubbish at doing this kind of thing? Why is America, with its supposedly very backward system, so much more creative?